Ed Shoemaker, Shoemaker Guitar Works. I'm back here with the 1967 Greco, and finally, I think, figured out the wiring on this. You know, there's no support for these guitars out there anymore. You know, it's not like they have a website for Greco that's been out of business for 25, 30 years, whatever. But anyway, I've ohmed everything out, and hey, look at that! I found my mic. I'm gonna actually clip it on this time and see if the audio is better. So I've ordered a different mic, and we'll see what happens, because some people have said that they haven't been able to hear me, so I don't want that happening. But anyway, so you know, this thing's been messed with over the years and not done good. So you know, you can see, like, on the pots here, you got big globs of solder. Except for, you know, on the one wire that I actually put in that's got a decent joint on it, but these are horrible. And so what I'm going to do is, this is a solder sucker, and how it works is you push that in there. There's a little I guess it's rubber cup in there that creates suction, and if you release it, see, it won't go all the way up until it creates a vacuum, creates a suction. So I want to get some of these globs of solder off of here and actually do it up right. And so got my, not quite warmed up yet, but I've got my soldering iron here. Arm that. I'm going to cut myself off a length of solder here. That way I have some. No matter if I'm gonna solder something on or try and melt solder, I always tin the tip. And this is not hot enough yet. It's starting to get there. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through here, big glob of solder here that probably doesn't need to be there. That joint looks bad. The joint on the capacitor looks bad. This one is definitely bad. So I'm just going to suck some of this extra solder off of here. And what happened here with the switch, I've already used the solder sucker on the switch, but what happened on the switches is the way they had it wired before, there's no way the pickups could have worked, because it was grounding itself out, because they had the positive and the ground for the pickup going to the same lug. So this is where your cord comes in, your jack, which is this wire right here. So that goes in there. Then this is mic 2, which would be your neck pickup, and mic 1 is your bridge pickup, and you can connect it to either one of these lugs. But then you actually have to run a separate ground that connects to these ground wires here on these, and both pickups have them. The switch obviously has it, and then it's going to have to come back and ground on these pickups, so or on these pots. So basically, it's just a complete rewire job, pretty much. I'm going to reutilize the wires that are here if they're okay. There's nothing I can do about the ones in the pickup, obviously, but so I'm going to show you how this solder sucker works. This has got to be plenty hot now. You need to clean that tip. Always keep a wet sponge by my side when I'm soldering stuff. And get that tip cleaned off real good. Yes, it cools it off a little bit, but that's okay. You got to tin your tip always. And I never do this over the guitar because you don't want it to drip. And anytime I'm going to be soldering over the top of the guitar, I always cover it in some sort of masking tape or paper or whatever to protect the top of the guitar, because if the solder drips onto that finish, you're going to melt that finish, and then you're going to have a mad customer. So basically, I'm going to take this solder gun and heat that up, suck some of that solder off of there. There, now we got a good little amount of solder there. Oh, I forgot to cock it. So this one here is the worst. It's just a glob. In fact, I'm going to try something here first, which is just to see if I can heat this up enough to pull the wires off of it. This is the one that goes back to the jack. And actually, I think since I'm disconnecting this, I might just have to run new wires. Maybe not, because I want to keep this thing as original as possible. There. Now we got a clean glob. So a couple clean globs to ground to. It's always a good idea to tin your wires too, that you're going to be soldering. You know you're going to be soldering them, so you might as well prepare them so you get a clean joint. And I do not like to do soldering videos. I'm pretty good at it, and my joints are very clean, but I just hate doing it. I'll weld all day long, but I just don't like to solder. So anyway, I'll bring you back when I get everything all cleaned up and ready to go, and ready to wire up. All right. All right. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this wire here that runs down to the pots and then goes to the jack. So this is your live feed, and I'm going to solder the connection onto this middle lug here. I've already tinned the wire, and there's solder on here, so it should melt fairly well. Tin my tip a little bit. The problem is this wire is 50 years old and dirty as heck, so it doesn't like to solder very well. In fact, I have a little soldering paste here that I'm going to dip my tip in there, clean that off. That'll help get that to flow. Alright, I got that. Got a nice clean tip again. Little solder on the end of the tip. Solder the positive pickup wires to the respected lugs. So now all we have to do is take these 3 grounds, group them together, get my helping hand out of the way here, group these 3 grounds together like this, and run another wire, and I have just enough black wire here to do it. And so we will have that wire, that will be the ground, and that will come back and be grounded to the pot. So I will bring you back at that point and show you what I did. Alright, so guys, what I did was I soldered the positives on like they're supposed to be, and then soldered all the grounds together, and I covered that in shrink wrap just to cover the grounds so they don't, hit something they're not supposed to in the switches. So now what I have to do is, besides change my camera battery, I have to redo the wiring here on the pots and also connect to this ground, because that's the main ground for the pickups. So anyway, I'll bring you back after I change camera battery, and we are almost to the point of being done with that.